there's a fair amount in our, peer group that are about this super cycle of commodities. And I really don't buy into that too much. There could be, and I think there would be, a super cycle in the monetary metals and in the ags, but stuff that you really need. You need to eat, and the metals are a way to protect wealth.
Join David Morgan, founder of the Morgan Report, as he dissects the tumultuous market movements of 2023 and sets the stage for what's to come in the precious metals sector in 2024. He reveals clear signs of an economic contraction and warns of a potentially worsening situation. Don't miss this valuable year-end review and prepare your investment strategy for what lies ahead. So, let's listen to David Morgan again.
So what's interesting, Dunnigan, is what's gone on in the metals this year. We'll start with the precious metals, but gold, the only two that are up on the year are gold and silver. Gold is up almost 10% from the beginning of the year. Silver is up about 1.5% from the beginning of the year. Palladium is off almost 40%, and platinum is off about 12%. I want to expand on that. So gold is at 95% of its all-time high. So it's almost at its all-time. Silver is at 47% of its all-time high. So it's got to double, a little more than double from here to get to its all-time high. Platinum and palladium are at about 37%. So about 1/3 of where they were at their all-time. So they've got to triple from where they are. I've been pretty bullish on platinum for some time, and I continue to be bullish on platinum. There's many reasons. We've outlined it in great detail in our premium service. I won't bore you with it here, but and I also did a spread trade, short palladium and long platinum, and that's worked out very well. But I want to talk about the other metals briefly because there's a fair amount in our, peer group that are about this super cycle of commodities, and I really don't buy into that too much. There could be, and I think there would be, a super cycle in the monetary metals and in the ags, but stuff that you really need. You need to eat, and the metals are a way to protect wealth. So anyway, let's just go through this real briefly. There's not one metal element in the base metal group that's up this year. Aluminum's off 8%, cobalt's off 36%, copper's flat, down 1%, lead's off 6%, nickel's down 47%, tin's off 3%, and zinc is off 16%. Not even one of those is up. So, I'm just trying to make the point that we are in a massive contraction in the economy on a physical level. I'm not talking about how much money they've printed showing positive GDP. I'm telling you the truth. As far as the stocks go, the HUI is off 1%. The XAU, the main index for the top tier mining companies, is off about 3.5%. The dollar is flat. Crude is down 6%. Heating oil is down 16%. Natural gas is off 32%. And gasoline is off 14%. So I think that's a pretty good look at the year end, coming into the year end. I think gold could get a bit of a lift here, maybe get a new high before the end of the year. I wouldn't get too excited until we get above the new high, which is, I think, 2070 in US dollar terms, and stay there. We've got to stay there for several trading sessions in a row before I'm convinced that we have a new bull market unfolding where resistance becomes support, and we're going to continue upward. I believe that will happen. I'm almost certain it'll happen in 2024. I'm not sure how strong gold will be going into the end of the year. In the 30s, why did so many farmers and merchants and whatever go out of business? This isn't really well published, but a lot of loans were called callable, C-A-L-L, callable loans. So you were making your mortgage payment. Maybe your grandfather had enough business for a while to make his payment. But then the bank, if it was a callable loan, and many were, say, hey, your farm, and these numbers sound ridiculously small compared to what they are today, because I'm doing it on an inflation-adjusted basis, but they called up your grandfather and they said, hey, you owe us $4,000, you got 30 days to pay it. And no one could do a callable loan. That's like paying your mortgage off, instantly. I mean, how many people can do that? Very, 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 very few. So that just squeezed the middle class on down in America. So just want to get that out there. So what these banks can do, they did this, in my view, in more or less a deliberate manner. But that's a story for another day. So the question was, what about now? Yeah, I've gotten many instances where people have contacted me and asked, what can they do? Their bank doesn't want to send a wire to Miles Franklin for gold. They're saying that no, and it's their money. Well, that's another story. I mean, the deposit you make isn't your money, and that just freaks people out. But that's the truth. You're an unsecured depositor, and it's the bank's money, and you're giving them a loan. And so, do they have control over their money? And that's a legal question I can't answer. But what I can give you is more than one incident. In fact, numerous, and it's becoming more prevalent, as you outlined, where people call up and they want to wire money, not necessarily for precious metals, for any business transaction, a loan payoff, a down payment on a house, whatever it might be. And these banks are giving a lot of pushback. And it's like, well, what's the money for? They never asked that before. It's like, wire 10 grand to, XYZ entity. And they did it. It's supposedly my money, and I want to make this wire. And this is happening more and more. And if that doesn't scare you, I don't know what does. As far as the bank run is concerned, that happened in the 2008 crisis. I forget I think it was a congressman, Kosorski or something like that. You may recall, Dunnigan. And there's a video out there still. It may have been removed. They talked about the banks are starting to panic because there was electronic run on the banks. And people were taking their money out because you can do it in many instances if you're on online banking and move your bank funds into, let's say, the stock market or into a money market or into Treasury Now and buy T-bills. And so the banks really panicked in 2008. Well, that's happened again because the interest rates have gone up and most people are getting next to nothing on their bank account, are moving into money market funds, which takes them out of the banking system and also into T-bills. I think it's Treasury Now. You can go to and buy it directly yourself. It's not very difficult. So the liquidity of the bank with the deposits of your money that they consider or is legally theirs is shrinking rapidly. And this, of course, is very, very difficult for the banks because most of their securities to back up their business of banking is in 20-year and 30-year bonds that they have to sell at a discount because the interest rates are so high. So to make them pay the 5% that's required for somebody to buy the bond, they've got to discount the bond 30-40%. You're really better off just buying staples and canned goods than to go that route. But if you have the ability or the need, the good thing is that they're all in buckets. They got a handle. You can grab and go with them. So you could consider that. But I would say, food, water, maybe a second job or something you can do on the side well before you get into gold and silver. And if you have excess savings and you are at a fairly high level, it doesn't have to be above 250,000 if you got 20,000 and you've got, prepped up and you got pretty much everything you need, certainly you can move into the gold or silver market and have that real money outside of the system. Because if the bank freezes up, or there's a bank run, or they reset to a new system where you have to have a real ID, and the only way you're going to get access to your funds in the bank is to let the bank go into this real ID system, where I call it the beast system. You're going to be darn happy that you took sufficient account of what's going on in the future and prepared for that. I'll call it eventuality. I don't know if it'll happen or not. I know what the bankers want. Whether it'll be achieved or not remains to be determined. And I'd say in the long run, we win. But in the short run, I think there's going to be a lot more pain and agony, unfortunately. So if you could mitigate that, and one last thing, Doug, again, you probably have some great ideas, is prepare for your neighbors as well if you can afford it. There's nothing better than having a community that gets along and realizes the circumstances, and the idea being that there's nothing more powerful than the truth. And the truth is now we have to take care of ourselves more than ever. Cavalry isn't coming to the rescue, and the government isn't here to help us. So we've got to help each other.
Thanks for tuning in to this insightful year-end review with David Morgan, where we delved into the whirlwind of market happenings in 2023 and peered into the crystal ball for what's in store for the precious metals sector in 2024. As we uncover the telltale signs of an impending economic shift, it's essential to heed David's warnings and arm yourself with the knowledge to fortify your investment strategies. If you enjoyed today's video, like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks again.